Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Salut tout le monde. Hey everybody, I am Marc Dumont and I will be your host tonight after what was, I'm getting a little reverb on this. If anyone's getting echo, let me know. Écoute, that was beautiful. That was exactly what you want to see from a team that didn't play their best tonight against the San Jose Sharks, but once in a while, the first line's going to have to drag you to decency. And I think we saw all three players on that top line really have a fantastic game. On top, obviously, Nick Suzuki always has a fantastic game, but we saw Juraj Slafkovsky play with confidence tonight. And that goal by Cole Caulfield, I mean, I don't love the hot takes whenever a player has a bad sequence and we're like, oh, he lost the Calder Trophy, but did Celebrini lose the Calder Trophy there? Is that possible? Obviously, that's a little harsh, but if you were evaluating both of them today, I think you come out of it, even with Hudson's defensive issues, you come out of it saying maybe that defenseman is a little further along so far in his NHL career. So thank you all for joining us. As per usual, we're going to take this very casual. The fans are my co-hosts tonight, so I see Bernardo was already here, and so is Dennis and CJ Duggan. Drop us a note in the chat. Let me know what you want to talk about. For now, though, I will say that this feels like the type of game that the Montreal Canadiens might have dropped last year. For example, I don't think they would have responded 3 times in a row. Nick Suzuki is looking great after that break, and I don't think it's a coincidence either. It's probably the first time since Nick Suzuki had a break in the middle of a season. So usually he's stuck at the All-Star game or, where everyone else is relaxing. But it was absolutely like a pinnacle type game for Nick Suzuki. Claire mentions what moves from Cole on that OT goal. Hi, Claire. Yeah, that's something he practices all the time. I think Cole Caulfield must be known a little bit more than just like a plain shooter. We saw when he was struggling to score, we saw him kind of develop his game a little further, right? He wasn't just shooting. He was trying dekes. He realized that he had to become a multi-dimensional, offensive weapon for the Canadiens, and I feel like he's really coming into his own. It's the type of goal the USA really needed the other night versus Canada. As per usual, I'll beg all of you to, do I have my power in? Yeah, we're not going to lose power. To subscribe and like, but you all do a great job already. All the information you need is below the chat right now. But I will invite everyone to watch Hyperdrive Hockey with our good friend Max and Kevin and Daphne. So that's Tuesdays and Thursdays. Make sure you check that out. They'll have a recap of the most exciting events, and they'll set up, next games, just talking about that topical stuff. What up, Dennis? Dennis is my hockey buddy, but also my drinking in Ottawa buddy, believe it or not. So before we get into this show, and I'm pretty sure it's the same Dennis, if not, sorry for telling this story, but I randomly ran into him at a bar in Ottawa about 2-3 years ago. And I have to admit, this was when I was drinking. I wasn't working or anything, but I did, they decided, our friends said, hey, you guys have been working hard at the farm. We're going to bring you downtown Ottawa and you can drink as much as you want, which was like I was drinking pitchers. And met Dennis outside the car, and all I could do was pick him up and start spinning with him. And also, I'm pretty sure Dennis was on a date, so it made everything really, really awkward as I perspired all over him. But that's why we're good buddies. We're loyal to each other, so it's good that I spun him right round, baby. It was I do apologize because I'm pretty sure that was a date, and the guy wasn't loving how intense I was, but that's me. When there's whiskey involved, I get very lovey-dovey. All right, so again, up to you in the third segment what we want to talk about. I kind of wanted to talk about the Gretzky and Orr stuff, but I feel like after giving the Americans so much crap for the jingoist stuff we've been seeing recently, I'd kind of be falling into it. But if you want, I have a rant lined up there. In the meantime, we can talk about the Habs being back in the playoff picture. Isn't that astounding? The thing is, with the forced parity in the NHL, they're in the playoff picture, but they're also in the lottery picture. It's just we're seeing a level of resilience that we didn't necessarily see before, right? And that's just incredibly encouraging. I would say tonight was one of their worst efforts in recent games, But that's the difference. Is now they're no longer purely playing down to their opponents, and this is something I feel like has plagued the Habs for a while. If it's a good opponent, they will fight tooth and nail. If it's a bad opponent, they'll bring down their intensity level. So it was good to see the talent emerge from the Montreal Canadiens, and obviously Owen Beck. I couldn't think of a more Beckian type first NHL point than getting crushed, staying on his feet, outworking the opponent, still getting the assist there. That to me is what Owen Beck's all about, right? And it was on that play itself. It was great to see Patrik Laine take advantage of space created by his line mates, because I feel like Laine is really good at creating space for himself. We saw it tonight right off the bat. I forget who he burned. It wasn't as bad as Caulfield and Celebrini, but he created space for himself. Well, on that Beck play, he used the time and space created by his teammates, and that's what you want to see from Patrik Laine every game. I feel like his 5-on-5 play is really shored up recently, which is encouraging news. Oh, okay. So Dennis was saying you were working at that bar. Jeez. Real quick, we'll go back to that bar story. I ended up making it to the bar itself. All these young kids, and I'm dying there. And it reminded me about how amazing but disgustingly sweaty university was. Just surrounded by people. Ended up, me and the girl I was with got to the bar, and we ordered shots just because it took us 30 minutes to get to the bar. But it was a great night in Ottawa. And I believe it was the weekend after the Queen died. And it came to mind that the Queensway, it's named the Queensway, the highway that goes through Ottawa, it was never finished construction during the entire Queen's life. And she was the longest serving monarch in the history of the world, if I remember correctly. So you go Ottawa construction. Jean Simard asks, how much to get you to shave that beard? I know, it's disgusting. I do not claim that it is not repulsive and that I don't remind you of a disheveled potato farmer. But here's the fun part. It reduces my time that I have to look at myself in the mirror. And if you had this face, you'd start thinking like that too. So it's just low maintenance. I get to put a toque on. I get this ugly ass beard, and I like how ugly it is. I'm embracing it. I'm embracing the ugliness. I'm going full Brady Tkachuk. Dennis mentioned, wasn't it Blues Fest? You know what? I don't know. It wasn't. It was the Hope Volleyball Tournament, which was another good reason to be downtown that weekend. But anyways, you're not here to listen to me and Dennis discuss drunken nights in Ottawa. Nick Suzuki, for me, tonight was just such a classic Nick Suzuki performance, right? I think you all know that I hold him in quite high regard, but just goes to show now that all the criticism he's gotten, even though he's been playing well, he's quickly, people saying, not a good producer. Well, he's 7 points in the last 3 games, playing incredibly well. But I also didn't like the narrative that he's only playing well because he got rejected at the Four Nations. Bullshit. Nick Suzuki was playing good from game 1. I know people criticize him because it took him like 6.5 periods to start producing. But Nick Suzuki doesn't need Team Canada to shun him to play well. And that, I think, is why he was the best choice to become the Canadiens captain. He's literally the, head down, follow what I do kind of guy. And again, it's so touchy to do this in Montreal to discuss past captains, but he really does lead by example, and he commands respect. He doesn't demand respect. And there's one captain in Canadiens history, I think, that probably stands out about how, he was that gentleman off the ice and the leader on the ice. I don't need to mention him, but I get the sense that he'd be proud watching Nick Suzuki captain the Montreal Canadiens, and I feel like he'd really, really give him his full support. Even Ken Dryden recently mentioned how, this is a guy you could have dropped in those 60s and 70s teams, and he would have been our captain. We're not trying to say here that Jean Béliveau and, Cournoyer are guys that would have lost the captaincy, but you understand what we're trying to say here. He's just that never takes a damn day off player that shows up when no one else does, and he shows up when everyone does. But tonight was just a really good example of his teammates matching him. I really feel like that's the case. Oftentimes, when Suzuki has a bad game, I kind of look at the 2 other guys and say, hey, there's a reason Nick Suzuki is among the top 5 players for passes that generate scoring chances in the NHL. There's also a reason he's not leading the league in assists. So it's great to see Slafkovsky get that confidence, Caulfield with that mind-melting goal as well. But to me, it's just great seeing Nick Suzuki kind of getting insulated with two other guys in their line that are really hitting their marks. And I'm not trying to denigrate Slafkovsky or Caulfield, but, ebbs and flows. Whereas Suzuki's Mr. Constant. He's the Costco of hockey. Always has what you want, always ready to go, no messing around. That's Nick Suzuki, and you can buy underwear in the same aisle as you can buy ham. No, wait, that's Kirkland. Anyhow, he is Mr. Consistent, and that's really what makes Nick Suzuki just the perfect captain for this team. Going back to it, remember Brendan Gallagher was one of the choices people were discussing, and we'll never question Brendan Gallagher, but a lot like Brady Tkachuk in Ottawa, I would say Brendan Gallagher being a captain would take away from his usefulness because he has to play on that line, right? So, you have Tkachuk in Ottawa who, he really crosses the line a lot, and he doesn't get that respect from the refs. But then he tries to, be a little classier, bring it up a notch. But then he loses his intensity, his what makes him Tkachuk. So he has to balance something, and that's just not fair. I feel like Gallagher's in the same boat, and it's better for him to just be that shit disturber on the ice. He's the guy that you want in your locker room, but on the ice, I don't think he's a captain, and that's fine. You want him creating chaos, and we saw tonight, him getting the double cross check. Could you be more Gallagherian there? It's just impressive how much Sherwood he takes, or I guess there are no wood sticks anymore, but the abuse he still takes at that age is fantastic. Trizak, please recap the game in ASMR. You know what's funny? I've been listening to a lot of ASMR as I go to bed, and it's always an old British guy. They were made for villains in movies and obviously ASMR, and it's any history. He has a 9-hour video of history, but I was playing it the other night and I spooked my friend. They came in what the hell is that? Because they weren't sure how many guys were in my bed. I promise it was just one, but I wouldn't be able to do ASMR because I'm just thirsty. I'm not doing this on purpose. The mouth noises. I'm just constantly dehydrated. So is the hamster in my brain. Me, if I would do it, it would be in French because I speak je t'envoie ici là avec le français, and in English I jump up 5 octaves. So si jamais on va faire ça en français. Is that a fair deal? What else do we got here? Gervais mentions Mathieu Gervais, which is I'm sure I grew up with 6 Mathieu Gervais. There's Gervais everywhere. Thought on Struble-Hudson pairing. Yeah. Okay, so I felt like they were incredibly shaky early on, but that's the risk, right? You if you're going to form a pairing and you're looking at the elite offensive talent, perhaps a stay at home defenseman, that's a good configuration, but I believe they're both the players with the least experience in the NHL and team. Is that accurate? Okay, take Owen Beck out of the mix. So you're gonna have bad plays. You're gonna have bad nights. Their stats have been just amazing. And is Kay here? As soon as Caden Gooley got injured, is she here? I gotta. As soon as Caden Gooley got injured, everybody started playing better on defense. Yeah. So we're seeing Hudson's numbers skyrocket. Now the thing is, it's actually Alexandre Carrier that absorbed a lot of that Gooley ice time, and his numbers have cratered. So it goes to show two things. You never know. Losing Gooley has not been a death knell. The Habs are controlling more pucks since he's been injured. But 2, Carrier is drowning right now. So it goes to show that Gooley is the sacrificial lamb, right? He's the guy you dip in barbecue sauce and you throw to the wolves. It's a really, really difficult usage. So I don't want to give anyone the impression that Gooley being out of the lineup is better, but right now it is working out for the Montreal Canadiens, and eventually you're going to have to figure out who's going to take those ugly minutes, because as we saw, it's destroyed Gooley's underlying numbers, and it's Carrier is really having a hard time with them too. It's a roster construction issue. Now, to get back to your question, I thought they had a few rough shifts. We saw Struble couldn't match Zetterlund, and that was just a matter of his transition, his first step back, right? He got burned, and we saw Lane Hudson got outplayed on that first play. Absolutely. It was a great pass by Will Smith, a great pass. But then immediately they started, okay, once they got that out of the way, they started playing most of the game in the offensive zone. So if those two can keep doing that and they'll have the odd mistake here and there, I think that's pretty darn good when you consider they're playing in the top 4 in the NHL, right? Like these, combined experience of 100 games, maybe? To me, it's been positive, and I'm really happy for Jaden Struble because I feel like he was getting unfairly picked on there for a while. Let's be perfectly honest. It wasn't Arber Xhekaj's best game, but playing with David Savard is tough, man. Like, have you ever gone fishing where you didn't bring up the anchor and you're like, what the hell? Why are we moving so slowly? Kind of what David Savard does on the ice, and I know that's mean, but it's also quite true. So getting Struble away from Savard goes to show that he can play good hockey in the NHL. And believe it or not, Struble leads the team in Corsi, which is shot share, expected goals, which is expected goals, high danger scoring chances. Like, these are important categories. So he's no longer sheltered and the stats are good, but we do have to accept there will be mistakes. It's as simple as that. There will be mistakes. Yeah. And, and Dennis mentions there's a big fight tonight. Well, I will say Goodrow, and he's a tough cook. He also sounds like a train robber or possibly a train baron. Like Barclay Goodrow, see? Or a 50 Chicago's gangster, I guess, is the accent I'm going to give him. I think that Struble, once he gets it all down, because the first few weeks he played well, then he got crushed last year. Let's be honest. He hit that wall. You play 40 games in the NCAA, your season's done. Here, you're not even half done. So we saw Struble hit that wall. For him, it'll be important not to hit that wall, and we're seeing now later time in the later sequence in the year, his endurance is great. So it takes time for your body to acclimatize to the NHL is what I'm trying to say, and Struble's done it quite well. And now that he's getting a little more comfortable, the physical side will come out. Because it was the same criticism of Xhekaj, like, how dare you miss one hit and the puck go behind the net? Well, it's kind of what he's there for, is to hit people, but just like Xhekaj, there's some stuff to learn, and he's got to pick his spots. I think he's been doing that quite well. I was worried that they were gonna, coach the aggressiveness out of him, but we saw it tonight. He's just so strong. The first time I ever realized that was his coach at Northeastern, Jim Madigan, who's the athletic director now, and he's like, this guy's an Adonis. I'm like, oh yeah, he's like he's good looking, strong looking dude, and he's like, no, literally Adonis. If you go back to Greek mythology, switch Struble for Adonis, and you got an upgrade right there. So yeah, he's a physical specimen is what he called him. He said just a smart guy that will give you good minutes if you trust him. And I think that's what we're seeing now. So it's a good sign. So Mathieu, coming back to the Hudson thing, couple rough shifts, but to be expected. Yeah, considering how young. Yeah, absolutely. It's really hard it's easy to forget, but Hudson, he was gearing up for not the bean pop, but for the Final Four this time last year, right? As Rémélie mentions, getting everyone away from Savard is always better. Yeah. And I don't want to mention it too much because people get annoyed. And like right now, he'd be like, fuck, man, what am I supposed to do? And I'd say, I don't know. Like, I like him. I think he's a crucial person in the locker room. And I really do mean that. I'm not just, waxing his beans there. But if anyone gives you an offer at the deadline, the only reason I wouldn't say yes immediately is if it messes with Laval, because we can't forget Laval is one of the best teams in the AHL. I believe they're a top team in the AHL right now. Either them or the Wranglers or Hershey, but either way, they're right up there. And you don't want to take away from them too much either. You have to keep your eye on what Laval is going to do, because winning's important. Like it genuinely is important. Claire mentions, and this is a good topic, Xhekaj was benched for a while tonight. Justified? I don't think so. I don't mind this compared to what was happening at the beginning of the year last year, where everyone decided on the same narrative that was so completely false. He's got to work in his defensive play. And then when I pointed out he's got the best defensive numbers on the team, people would scramble. They're like, well, it's because he's sheltered. Yeah, he's sheltered, but everyone else that had that role got massacred. So now what? It's fine that he's a third pairing guy. He's not going to go up. Tonight, I thought he had a couple bad reads. The penalty wasn't great. He had a penalty the other night too, right behind the net. It wasn't his best game, and that's fine. As long as this isn't a permanent vacation, to quote Aerosmith, I'm okay with it. I don't see an issue with once in a while rectifying your young player or bringing your young players back into line, right? And shortening your bench when you're in a tight game, that's fine. With I would probably throw Savard on that mix too and say like, hey buddy, like don't worry, you sit there, you're good. But it wasn't the worst thing in the world. Was it justified? I don't know. I'm not sure, but they weren't playing great against the Sharks, and the Sharks are a bad team. So as someone that's criticized Martin St. Louis a lot, fair dinkum. Fair dinkum. All right, we're going to, as Remily mentions, kind of responsible for the third San Jose goal for Jack Eye. Yeah. I mean, I've seen 100 NHL defensemen try that and fail. I think what was responsible for that third goal was Will Smith having a freaking amazing shot. Like that was beautiful. We'll talk about that in just one moment, and we'll get back to our fun chat. Thank you all, by the way, and I love you all. Don't forget to like and all that. In the meantime, we're going to give you a quick little ad here from our friends over at Inshu Bijou. I hope I set this up right before the show. It should work perfectly. Here we go. Work perfectly.
We are so excited to tell you about our new partner here at Game Over Montreal, a delightfully witchy goth and glam jewelry store making handcrafted art that varies from subtle silver to gold pieces to glamorous bespoke. Inshu Bijou is more than just a company. They've built a community through advocacy and a welcoming attitude that has made them an institution here in Montreal. Located in the historic Chateau Saint-Ambroise, Inshu Bijou also runs seasonal themed markets called Maleficarum Market, or Marché Maleficarum en français, where artisans from all over get together and showcase and sell their wares. Drop by 4000 Rue Saint-Ambroise, Suite 278, and say hi to Astrid and the Wicked team, or head to inchubijou.com and enhance your style. The next Maleficarum Market will be on the weekend of February 8th and 9th. We'll see you there. Now, let's get back to the show, but before you do, make sure you subscribe to Game Over Montreal, Game Over Network, and smash like.
Sorry, I had to cut Andrew off a little early there. They all know the how to like and subscribe. They're doing a great work. Our people are good. They're good people, but do make sure to check out Inshu Bijou. And I'll say this: Andrew's French. It's coming along. I love it. To jump back into the chat here, and again, yeah, I know I was muted. Sorry, I almost got through a whole show with good tech. Almost. Well, no, I didn't even get to the second period. Okay, I almost had one full 20-minute effort there in the first period. Ian Patterson, hey, how's it going, buddy? Is mentioning a team like Tampa or Columbus will take a Savard for a third or fifth. Yeah, and again, the only reason you don't is if you're lacking a warm body, like literally a warm body, like, hey, Marc-André Bergeron, what are you doing right now? Yeah, I would not even hesitate. It's not that I particularly dislike the player, but he's really hurting the young defenseman whenever he's on the ice. It's as simple as that. And I truly believe that we're still at a point where people don't believe that's true within the organization. Like, it's a good thing to have Savard there, but emotions aside, when we delve into reality, it's not. But I just don't want to be too mean, man. He played way above his station in Montreal. Don't forget, he got used as a top pairing defenseman for a long time, which is just absolutely nutso. So David Savard, to me, it's like, man, now your watch is over. Thanks. Like, thanks for holding the wall there for a while. You did great. We don't expect a single thing from you. Tonight, beyond Nick Suzuki, we saw, that beautiful goal by Cole Caulfield. I'd like to ask all of you what you thought about Juraj Slafkovsky, but not any of the scoring plays. How he looked away from the puck and in the neutral zone. Because to me, that's the canary in the coal mine is if he's really helping out Nick Suzuki facilitate the transition play. We're seeing that. At least I thought so. Maybe it's just me, but in the last few games, I feel like Juraj Slafkovsky has tried way more plays in transition than he had in the previous 50 games. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Jean-François Paris mentions Davis will possibly make a good assistant coach one day. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think Mike Komisarek became a coach, so I'm sure Savard could. I don't know why I was being mean towards Komisarek. Was a good guy. I was mean, and again, he got put on the hot seat with the Lucic thing. Yeah, that I shouldn't have been mean there. Sorry, Mike. But yeah, Saval, you bring him back into the mix at one point. Give him a bouillon type assignment, or maybe a Paul. No, more bouillon. I don't know if I'd put him on the ice, but yeah, he's a mentor, right? Like he's the guy that shows him not just how to be a pro on the ice, but be a pro off the ice. And there's so much value there because a lot of these guys, I mean, they don't even know how to do the chicken and pasta, which they learn once, and that's all they're going to eat for the rest of their lives is chicken and pasta. But Saval will teach them how to be a professional, and to me, that's pretty darn important. I always go back to the same saying. It's in French, mais s'il est bon dans la chambre, laissez dans la chambre. It's if he's good in the room, leave him in the room, and that's kind of where I am at this point. Savard and Byron coaching Laval someday. I don't know about Savard, but I think I want him like checking in on guys. I think I want him doing like the bouillon thing. Like, hey, how's it going? Okay, you have an issue. Let me help you out through it. Whereas Byron, I feel a little more comfortable with him on the ice. But we're seeing Byron's doing a fantastic job, not just on the ice. He's actually been doing like mental health, seminars. Like he went out with Patrick Line to do one, and that's great. That's great because you want the coaches that have faced all the adversity in the world, and that's Paul Byron, right? He met his wife at the Boom Boom Saloon in Hull. I don't know why that just came to mind. It's because when the Habs were going to the Cup, when they went to the Cup final, we couldn't talk to the players because it was COVID, so we were talking to the wives, and she mentioned that I think it was not the Boom Boom Saloon, or was it Le Boom? Either way, one of those, and I always laugh at him for it, like, oh, bud. And this is when Get Snow was called Hull, but it's just a funny story because that's where everyone used to go. Like right out of university, you go to Hull because you could drink at 18, not at 19 in Ontario, and Get Snow or Hull and Ottawa, one beside each other. But the great people, great family, good people, good people. The Montreal Canadiens are lucky to have Paul Byron involved. There's some stories I might tell you if we're having a beer one day, but just know that he's a good person. Paul Byron is a very good person. This was so Ian Patterson mentions this is a game the Habs would drop last season. Yeah. I got going with that. This feels like it's really a game where they would have lost 4-0 last year, or 5-0 or 6-0. Nick Suzuki would have tried, but no one else would have really followed Pat. So yeah, that to me is the step up from always playing up or down from your competition. Well, now I feel like they played down to San Jose, but they kind of pulled themselves up. They hoisted their own petards. I didn't use that properly, but they pulled themselves up by their own bootstraps, and they give it. Trizak says, honestly, I'd re-sign Savard as a 6'7" guy for next. No, arrête, no, arrête. No. Arrête. He's Columbus, assistant coach in Columbus the year after that. We know exactly how this is going to go. He's got a ring. But seriously, I really would think it would be beneficial for the entire defense corps if you'd get that. I was going to say corps again. If you would change the setup. And I don't want to be mean, but it's just realistic right now, right? That's how it's going. Andrew mentions, and this was actually supposed to be my topic for the second period, but Slav looked super engaged. Absolutely. Now, here's how I know he's going to have a good game. It's not when he drives the net. It's the controlled entries. Like I mentioned earlier, he facilitated Nick Suzuki's job in neutral zone, but he didn't always, like sometimes he'd be an outlet option or a 1-2 option, then he'd go in as the F1. Now, he's not hesitating to gain control of the zone or gain the offensive zone with control of the puck. And that's where you take that. That's the next echelon. That's bringing up a notch. So if Slavkovsky is driving the play, that first line goes from okay to very, very good. I really feel like Suzuki and Caulfield are good, and they've been good together, but they do need Slavkovsky to be on top of his game for them to be at their best. And tonight we saw that. If he's not doing well, they'll be fine. But tonight is when Caulfield and Suzuki kind of spread their wings a little bit, and you really see. Right off the bat, you can tell if it's going to be a good game for Slavkovsky. If he gets the puck on his stick and he starts to actually make a play immediately instead of starting to like 3 Mississippi loses the puck, that's when he's on the ball. And I really like his attitude recently because as soon as they asked, hey, that was a great game, he had the exact same reaction as me. He's like, sure, but I got to do it every night. And now we've seen him do it 3 nights in a row. Still the youngest guy on the team, even with Owen Beck there. So encouraging signs. I know some people are sick of it, but that's the reality of the situation. Truzak mentions Marc Mailloux and Reinbacher need more Laval time. Savard can be a 35 game guy. Sure, but does it have to be the guy that has some of the worst underlying numbers in the last 3 years? Like it's I'm not gonna go into it. I understand what you mean, and I absolutely agree. Like some people are saying, "Oh, Reinbacher next year," but wow là, WWT, wow tabarnak là, comme the kid has had a rough couple of years, and Mailloux, his offensive game is very good, very very good. His underlying numbers in the NHL have been quite good too, believe it or not. But I still see him do the same bonehead plays defensively in Laval, right? And that's the one issue. So I agree with you. Absolutely. They do need time. I would just try to look for a guy who isn't like just an anchor and not, I'm talking about a boat anchor keeping you in the one spot, right? That's my issue with him. But hey, it's not a big deal if you end up bringing up Savard, as long as he's not a permanent fixture to a guy like Struble or Xhekaj. It's no coincidence that they play better without him. But tonight was such a good game that we're going to get away from the Savard subject. I would like everyone to kind of give me their impressions of Owen Beck, because there might be a little bit of bias at play. When I know Owen Beck, it's a good kid. I followed him for a while now. I like that he's a smart kid too, right? Like that's the thing that, to me, I'm like, man, he's a cerebral player, and he's a hard worker who takes instruction and puts it into play immediately. At the draft or at the combine, I forget what it was, but every single team was telling him, Owen, you got to get aggressive. Like, you're okay right now, good defense, good offense, but we got to see you, get stronger, get physical out there, make some noise. And tonight, that goal was just it was evidence of Owen Beck's evolution as a player. Like, he got crunched, stayed on his feet, outworked his opponent. I really don't even hesitate to trade Jake Evans at this point, because I firmly believe that Owen Beck will be more than an adequate replacement next year on the fourth line. More than adequate. And with potential to maybe move up a little bit. Now, I might be jumping the gun a little bit, and I don't want to denigrate Evans either, but I actually see Owen Beck as a better rounded player. And could maybe have a little bit more offense. We'll see. I could be talking out of my butt right now, but I really like everything Owen Beck brings to the game. Patterson mentions Patterson. Beck is a beauty. Last 2 games, he really upped his aggressiveness. Yeah, that's what we saw. And yeah, the aggressiveness. And he makes something happen. He's just always active, always going. And okay, the difference in Kirby Dach and Owen Beck is that when Dach gets the puck, he hits the brakes a lot of the time, or to go for the fancy play. When puck gets the Beck stick, he goes all out. Just like, no matter what, it's bring it. Like, no matter where you are on the ice, bring the puck towards the net. It doesn't have to go in the net. For now, we're going to bring it toward. We're going to outwork our opponents, and then get a scoring play. So yeah, it's just such a significant change of pace, right? And is it a coincidence that Patrick Laine has been producing 5-on-5 since Beck has been there? Probably. But just like Emil Heinemann, the Habs are undefeated since he came back. I do believe Beck brings that wild card, not Charlie had Always Sunny wild card style, but they're going to make something happen whenever they get on the ice. And we saw Heinemann make Evans a better player when on that fourth line. We're seeing Beck, in my opinion, making Laine a better player. And it's also, Dach and Laine just do not complement each other. And I'm actually afraid right now that we're going to get really bad news tomorrow about Kirby Dach. Like, I didn't expect it, but I get the sense now they're being reevaluated. We're going to get, I really don't want him to have to miss a whole end of another season. That would end up being like 3 years in a row. Really tough. So let's pray to Maurice Richard that he feels better. But at the very least, it's giving Beck an opportunity to shine, and that's pretty darn encouraging. Bernardo mentions, has Reinbacher been good since coming back? I watched that first game, and it wasn't necessarily his fault, but I think he was on for 4 goals against. Got burned a couple times. But what I saw from him was he was a lot more mobile than I expected. A lot more confident than I expected, because that was the biggest issue in Kloten, right? I mean, they went through 3 coaches, in Switzerland. That didn't help either, but he lost his confidence. Since he's been in Laval, like from the first game last year as soon as he came back, he's been building on that confidence, and that's a good sign. I thought he was a lot more mobile and agile than expected. Quick, crisp passing. The defensive positioning is going to come at some point. It wasn't a great game for him. And I believe he was paired with Mayu too, which, give a dog a bone here. Like, give him a chance. Which Mayu, again, great in the offensive zone, but defensively, not always the best. So it was tough. And then after that, I've only seen half a game, so I don't feel comfortable saying it. But to me, the rest of the year is an audition for Ryan Backer. Or not an audition, it's a acclimatization period. It's his grace period because he's dealt with some pretty serious injuries. Trinka mentions Montembeault got an assist on Caulfield's goal. Okay, is it me, or like were people ready to jump down Montembeault's throat? Or maybe I'm just really defensive when it comes down to goalies, but as soon as that Smith goal, people are like, oh, softy. Like, are you fucking kidding me? That was like, you need the super collider, this CERN to actually, like the cameras they use there to actually pick up the puck there, because Smith shot it so fast. That first goal, that's on Hudson and Struble, let's be perfectly honest. Now, Montembeault gets caught, assuming the puck's gonna, like, maybe they scouted that, and he will transition almost no matter what. Like, he's kind of like the ghosts in Mario, right? Like, if you look at him, he'll stop, but if you go the other way, no matter what, he'll keep going. But I really believe that was on Hudson to stop that great Will Smith pass. I just feel like no one gave him any credit after the Four Nations, like the 3 wins in a row, shut out Carolina. Maybe we're a little too quick to throw the baby out with the bathwater there. We'll see, and it's good for Jakub Dobesh as well, because things were getting a little nuts, in my opinion. Like, it's just the beginning of the beginning for Dobesh. So yeah, I'm really happy for Samuel Montembeault. Really am. Just the fact that he made it to the Four Nations tournament, isn't that amazing? Isn't that what hockey's all about? So many people criticized him at that, I shouldn't be there. Shut the hell up. This is a guy that was on waivers a few years ago. He ended up working his ass off to make it back. He played for the Canadiens that first year with a busted wrist. That was something, he put his whole health into question and his career. They rewarded him with a contract, but what he did that year was, it was a little unfair. They didn't get him any kind of, reprieve or any kind of backup. And then the kid plays so well. He ends up winning a gold medal with Team Canada World Championship, ends up getting named as one of the Canadians for the Four Nations tournament, and you dare insult him? This is the best hockey story. This is le petit gars de chez nous that defied the odds and made it to the big leagues. It's incredible to me that someone would be able to dismiss it. Like, Samuel Montembeault represents the hockey dream. And I don't want to talk about backgrounds or like how he got there, or if there's any help. I'm just talking about his relentless, dedication to the sport, his love for the sport, fighting through adversity. Samuel Montembeault is the perfect example of sticking to it. And it doesn't always happen that way, but I think we really have to give credit to him. He's right there, maybe not at David Desharnais level, but when I think of cool, good stories of guys from Quebec that make it and defy the odds, I think of David Desharnais and Samuel Montembeault. I really hated how quickly people turned on him as soon as Dobesh was involved, but it's Montreal, right? That's we're so good at eating our own. I was speaking to Jay Berkshire, the other day, and he's like, man, the one thing I don't miss from Montreal, they eat their own. And it's like, yeah, num num num. So we don't have to do that to Montembeault or Matheson, right? It's good to have them both there. Bernardo mentions it's because of politics. So isn't that crazy? We were laughing about the politics thing, and David Pissy Staples there, and it ended up being a little more political than that. But we really got into politics last show. I'm not gonna put you all through that now. Hey Andrew, how's it going, buddy? Is it? Oh, I'm not even gonna try to. I hate murdering last names. Is it Geisbrecht? Giesbrecht? Is it Dutch or German? You're gonna have to tell me exactly how to pronounce it, because that's insulting what I just did there. I apologize. Our good buddy Andrew is in the chat. He's mentioned Ryan Becker's skating was so smooth. Yes. Okay, that's what I picked up on Ryan Becker's first game. Might have been burned on a couple goals. Yep. Seen really good at controlled exits. Yeah, the crisp passing, confident passing. So I'm in the same boat as you. And I think we also have to give credit to Pascal Vincent, because he didn't hesitate, just threw him right in there. And okay, let's go. Like, this guy's gonna be good at one point. You can't. I understand why some coaches sandbag players, but Laval has, or even before that, was with St. John's or Hamilton or wherever the hell they ended up. This idea of like making prospects fight for it, I kind of hate it. I understand the whole theory behind it, but at one point, like, enough is enough. He's going to be, you want him to be a first top pairing player, give him top pairing minutes in the NHL, right? Does that make sense? Jack Hahn, who used to work with the Canadiens, always said that put him where you want him to become. Put him with the type of player you want him to become too. So maybe he needs a new defensive partner. We'll see that. Hey, we have Wendy here saying à propos de Cole Caulfield, je suis extrêmement enthousiaste qu'il va marquer plus de 30 buts cette saison, probablement. Un super fan de Caulfield. Je suis heureux. Salut, Wendy. Okay, so real quick, I'm just happy I get to use my French. Avec plaisir et enthousiasme chaque fois. So Wendy's saying, very happy to see Cole Caulfield probably score more than 30 goals this year. And it's a super fan. Wendy's a Caulfield super fan. I think the level of is it adversity? Is that the right term? But what he went through when he wasn't scoring, when you come off of surgery, your whole world starts to collapse a little bit, and that's really tough for an athlete. Like Cole Caulfield went through that before the surgery too, when Dominique Ducharme took over as coach. He wasn't coaching Caulfield to miss the net. He wasn't coaching Caulfield to not take. Caulfield was shooting well, and he should have scored more often. So that's just kind of part of it. But we saw last year, I think he got really frustrated with how things were going, and it's always tough to see a guy that he defied the odds to make it here, kind of go through that. So I wasn't worried because I saw the quantity of shots was there and the quality was there. Mais absolument, t'as tellement raison, Wendy. C'est tellement le fun de le voir compter ses buts avec confiance. It's so good to see Cole Caulfield score goals with confidence. That play tonight on Macklin Celebrini, I've seen him practice that 1,000 times. I saw him pull it out a couple of times earlier in the season, but he got burned on a couple of them, so he put it away. To pull that out in overtime, recognizing that, hey, like this is a really good kid right here, but he couldn't identify his goalie in a police lineup. I watched Macklin Celebrini in the NCAA. He didn't know who his goalie was. His goalie was Lane Hudson getting the puck when he lost it, right? So kid has dynamic offensive instincts. Defensively, not so great. So obviously Cole Caulfield identified that and just went for it. And that shows to me that Cole Caulfield is playing with the utmost confidence. Tonight was really that top line, right? Just absolutely all of them hitting the same gear. And they saved the Habs. They really saved the Habs. Andrew is saying it's Dutch German, who knows, but it's Giesbrecht. Okay, Brecht. Yeah. Saying Lowland, we're talking Anglo-Saxon before they got to England. Yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough. I'm gonna call it's Saxony. Old Germany, you old empire. Older, much older than what I had said there. I'm talking the 800s, Saxony. Trizak mentions if the Habs win outright the deadline next week, is that enough to stop Hughes from selling? If you win every game, that's a good question. You know what? We're gonna hear from our good friends over at Le Saint Motel. And did I bring the audio up on this? Let's hope it works. I'll be back in like 20 seconds. Let's go.
Looking to make awesome memories with your friends? Take some promotional pictures or videos for your business? Check out Le Saint Motel in Montreal's Sud-West borough. It's an amazing selfie studio located in Montreal's historic Chateau Saint-Ambroise, right next to Inchu Bijou. It boasts 12 plus unique decors for you to enjoy and make memories with. Hop into their iconic heart-shaped ball pit or transport yourself back in time to Expo 67. Le Saint Motel can also come to you with mobile decor setups available to rent for events, including setup and takedown, or you can head to lesaintmotel.com right now for more details, or to check out their amazing decors that are always being updated. Now, let's get back to the show.
Sorry, Andrew, I'm not going to let you go back for the like or share. You guys all know to like or share, right? Like or share. Like or share. It's all below there. You hear this everywhere. It must be so annoying. I always wonder how annoyed people get. Like, yeah, I get it. Like or share. I've shared. I've liked it. Like, what else do you want? But we do appreciate all of you, and we do appreciate our good friends over at Inchu Bijou and Le Saint Motel. Let's go here. What do we have? Oh, for some reason, I still have period 1 and 2. Hey, we're in the third period. So it's up to the chat. Well, let's keep this, 10 minutes? I'll maybe do a show under an hour for the first time in a very long time. It's a really good question about the selling. I'm a strong believer of stick to the plan. And to me, the plan still involves building up your forces a little bit before you really declare war. If you don't mind me using all the ASMR history lesson that I was telling you about earlier in the show. I know that being in the playoffs is it's positive experience, and I really do believe in the whole idea of being a winner. Like we saw Owen Beck's a winner. He won in the OHL. He's right away. I'm not saying it's the reason, but Laval's enjoying his best start in the history when he gets there. You know what I mean? He comes with Montreal. They start winning. Like, he is a winner. This is the reason he was the Memorial Cup MVP. And it takes a while to kind of learn that if you're not just kind of naturally gifted or being in the right place at the right time. So there is a lot of value of learning to win. And just like tacos, the smell of defeat is really tough to get out of a locker room. Like, really tough. That being said, I do believe that Kent Hughes is the type of person that won't be tempted to deviate course. So even if the Habs are a couple points behind, I really don't think it is going to change anything. And if there's a good offer, you take it. You take it, right? It makes me think of the Craig Rivet situation, which, you know, the Habs were actually in 8th place when they traded Craig Rivet. Or was it 7th? No, 8th. Could you believe that? They traded, and this was their top pairing player, believe it or not. It was Sheldon Surrey and Craig Rivet, if I remember correctly. And they got a decent defensive player called Josh Georges in return, and a first-round pick, which through the line, obviously became Max Pacioretty, and then after that became Nick Suzuki. So that trade, in this exact same situation where Craig Rivet gave the Canadiens the captain they have now, believe it or not. So, you know, I know it's such a like cherry picking, but just goes to show that sometimes sticking to your guns, you know, not getting tempted by late last minute changes is a good thing, especially in sports management, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint. If the Habs were next year in this situation, I say no, you keep it. But at this point in the rebuild, I don't think anyone necessarily needs to hit the playoffs to feel satisfied. I feel like there's already been a big step up just their overall gameplay. So I think you stick to the plan. If you get to there's what, like, it's the 7th, so there's what, 2-3 games left? Nah, that's not enough to change it. I mean, let me know what you think, but I don't think that's enough to change it. If you get an offer on Josh Anderson, or okay, which, by the way, Jesus Christ, Josh, just take the day off. Just take he's walking around with the paper towel tube for an arm and like an old Zeller's bag for his left lung. Like, buddy, you're hurt. Take the day off, Josh. It's insane. He's like a Scott Sterling / Black Knight crossover episode. Like, have at you. You know, this but a flesh wound. No one has ever questioned Josh Anderson's heart. Bernardo, I know you're talking about it right now in the chat, and no one ever will. So please, God, take the day off. Just take the day off. I genuinely feel bad for Josh Anderson right now. He's just absolutely getting massacred out there. Bernardo mentions the coward Mark Scheifele has finally lost a game. Good. Well, did you know there was rumors that Jake Evans, that the Winnipeg Jets have been... I'll tell you this. And I was, at the time, I was like friendly with everyone. He's when I brought it up, he's just kind of like, and he just walked away. Obviously he's not happy with what happened, but just the level of disrespect there, that's not something, in my opinion, he's moved on, but I don't think that you'll ever catch Jake Evans saying like, nah, that's fine, Mark. You know, he would, I think there would have to be a nice little meeting there before he'd ever play on a team with Mark Scheifele. And I'll tell you right now, the opinion, like Scheifele's overall opinion in the league's not great to begin with, but that play, like putting literally one of his coworkers, that's what it is, injuring their brain for absolutely no reason, Mark Scheifele's level of respect around the league also dropped, like, significantly. So you get what you get. An old Zeller's bag. Yeah. Okay, Dennis, you're from Ottawa. Did you ever go to Zeller's Hill when you were younger to ski down it? Because I was trying to explain that to a friend. There was a Zeller's Hill in Beacon Hill or Beacon Ridge, and we used to take couches and we'd cut the legs off and we put skis. But you don't put downhill skis. You put cross country skis, and then we would couch down I was trying to explain it to a friend, and they're like, no, I don't think that's ever happened in Ottawa. I'm like, yeah, there was a place called Zeller's. And that's when I realized I'm an old man. They're like, Zellers? Anyways, great memories about Zellers. Bernardo mentions, Mark, Hudson has more points than any other rookie D compared to the first rookie. Okay, so what it is was that he's the first rookie defenseman since Nick Lidstrom to earn 40 assists in 60 or fewer games. And I don't mind, like, I love Hudson's records because it's always like, He's the first defenseman since like old John Rabbitleg, who played for the Habs in 1803. You know, just finished the Civil War, came right up to Canada and started playing. Like, you know, it's a lot of Sprags and a lot of Cleghorns involved in these records, which is great. But when you see Nick Lidstrom's name come up, I don't want to hurt or insult any of the old timers. To me, Nick Lidstrom, I put him right up there as one of the best. I actually do believe he's the best defenseman of all time. I know every Bruins fan right now is like, come at me, bro. But Nick Lidstrom, just in terms of his dominance, you know, the cups, his endurance, you're gonna have a hard time finding a better overall defenseman than Nick Lidstrom. So the fact that Lane Hutson's in that conversation, he's not even close to being as defensively aware as Nick Lidstrom, and I don't think any of us expected him to be. But hearing Nick Lidstrom's name is always a great thing for a guy like Lane Hutson, at least in my opinion. Yeah. Claire mentions he has more points than all the rookie Ds combined. Is that really? Oh damn. Okay, if not, I'm gonna go check that. That's gonna be my article tomorrow. So shh, don't tell anyone. One of my 4 articles tomorrow. Dennis is going back to the Zellers Hill. There would be big hills near malls from the parking lot where people go, yeah, that was the Zellers Hill, bro. Got it. Or no, it wasn't Beacon Hill. It was Convent Glen. Anyways, we don't need to talk about it. It was back when Gloucester had a fair called the X. Is back when Gloucester was a part of Ottawa. Okay, I think everyone's kind of had their fill of me for the night. So I do appreciate everyone for coming. Don't forget, like, subscribe, just do all this stuff underneath here. But the most important thing for me to tell you is take care of yourself. It's, you know, we make a lot of good and bad decisions in life, but there's going to be one decision that you'll never regret, is taking care of yourself. And you may think, oh, I can't do that. I got to take care of everyone else. Well, here's the thing. If you're taking care of other people, the most important thing you can do, guess where I'm going with this, is take care of yourself, because you got to be there for them. So just be nice to yourself, be good to yourself, be nice to strangers. You never know what they're going through. And I think that'll be it for me for tonight. So we'll see you Saturday. They're playing, who was it? I just added this. Saturday they're playing a game against, they're playing a game Saturday. They're getting hosted by, who are they going to Buffalo? Are they going to Buffalo? Wow, I'm really good at this. Either way, and it might even be K, but we do invite you back on Saturday to watch Game Over once the Montreal Canadiens game is over. And that'll be it for tonight. So bye, Claire. See you all later. And